Congratulations, it is day 40. It is Easter morning in the beginning. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John actually begin their gospel accounts differently. The Gospel of Matthew, he begins by tracing the genealogy of Jesus way back to Abraham and Sarah. Why? Because that's the father of their nation. So he wants to make sure that people know that the story of Jesus is a distinctly Jewish story. The Gospel of Luke traces the genealogy of Jesus even farther back, all the way to Adam and Eve. And so he wants people to know that Jesus isn't just a Jewish story, it is the story of the whole of humankind. And the Gospel of John, we know that one is definitely different. In the beginning was the Word. And so, what story is John trying to tell? He is trying to make sure that the story of Jesus is the story of God. So, if you can think about it, how bold that what must have been for John to start out his gospel narrative was, in the beginning was the Word. And try and think, step past what you know about Christian history and tradition and culture, and imagine what the earliest believers receiving this letter and knowing and remembering Jesus, their friend, their teacher, their healer, and of course, king, as seeing the very humanity, the very face of God himself, the eternal God. So there are three great truths that really everything in Christianity rests upon, and that is one, the Trinity, two, the incarnation of Jesus, and three, his ascension. So not just his resurrection, or not just his crucifixion, but his ascension as well. And he tries to give little snippets about each of those three and why they are important to hold as foundations, because the Trinity, knowing that it is the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, means the very essence, the very being of God is in relationship to each other, from Father to Son, from Son to Holy Spirit, from Holy Spirit to the Father. And you must picture a never-ending, life-giving dance shared by the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And we see this in a few different with a few different theologians. We see this in the book by C.S. Lewis, Mere Christianity. But we're not going to go too deep on each one of these. The incarnation means that in the Son, he has become human, and forevermore, he is human. The Son becoming one of us is not just a divine afterthought or a plan B because we messed up. It says that from the beginning, before the world was made, as it says in Ephesians, the book of Ephesians, his plan was to come and be with us. So, from the very beginning, when he made us, he had already decided that it was worth coming, not because of sin only, but because he wanted to be with us. And we're going to look at the ascension because we're going to tie that in. The ascension means the Son is still human right now on the throne, and that it's no longer just a divine dance between Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It is literally the human and divine dance, because Jesus, being human, has brought that element in. Why? Because he wants to make sure from the beginning, like we were saying, that it wasn't just a sin problem. He wanted his sons and daughters of the earth to be welcomed in, to enter the dance, and to be adopted into the family of God. The Gospel of John, he includes this verse, John 21:25. There are many other things which Jesus did. If they were written down one by one, I don't think the world itself would be able to contain the books that would be written. Oh, can we imagine more being written about it? And he says that it may not just be the miracles that would be written. What it might really be about is Jesus showing us that there's far more to being a human than we can possibly imagine. And so, If there's more than we can imagine, that means there's so much more to dive into in our lives spent following Jesus, is to open our eyes, open our hearts, to be a living reflection of God himself, since we ourselves are made in the image of God, and we have been saved by grace to also bring him glory.